On a tiny British Columbia island, 100 miles from any white man's city, live the Ahousats, 400 proud, unknown heirs to a lost empire. Through hard years and just plain bad years, they cling to their ancestral village on a neck of land at the southern tip of Flores Island, a village easy to defend, impossible to retreat from, an Ahousat village. For hundreds of years before the white man came, the Ahousat people were among the richest of the Pacific coast. They lived off the sea. From fragile cedar dugouts, they harpooned Pacific whales and trolled through vast schools of salmon. Their clam beds were bountiful, and schools of herring clouded the waters. 100 years after the establishment of civilization, they are in the depths of poverty.
True, I was told a little bit about the amalgamation process, and it's related, of course, to Otsoosaht. I have a different interpretation to the Otsoosaht War then, and it's based on our culture. My interpretation is based on our stories and on our teachings. War was not a great thing in our culture, my interpretation, because if you think about many of the teachings that we have, that, for example, if you don't ask for help when you need help, you're not Aphe. That's one of the teachings that I learned. Apheness was a great, it was something to aspire to, to be a good person in the community. One needed to be Aphe. You were always to be Aphe. You were taught to be Aphe, Aphe. Whenever a stranger comes in, you treat that stranger nicely, feed that stranger, make that stranger comfortable. And that was, to me, that was one of our great teachings.
The amalgamation, I've been thinking about it ever since we had supper. I think it was mainly because of the two tribes that we amalgamated with were smaller than Ahousat. Then they used to come to Ahousat for help. So they decided they were going to get together and just work as one tribe.
We joined tribes, we joined forces, eh? That's still the way it is.
We were all family back in the time, but the people originally that were here wouldn't share the resource. They wouldn't share the fish. They wouldn't share the ocean when people went by it. They would kill anybody that went by it.
The name of chum salmon, for example, is Hinkoos, one of the names, which to me means that the chum salmon was given a name about sharing, about giving. Hinni is takshirko hinni. That's the way I interpret it, because the chum salmon then fed the people. They gave of themselves to feed the people over the winter. So that's where the word potlatch in English comes from. Patchir, to give in a formal way. Patchils, I give to you. We were a giving people, not a warring people, not a destroying people. Yes, people wanted to kill and so on. So there was always that balance. You want to do bad, you want to do good. And so I have great admiration for our ancestors, who, unlike what's happening today in the Middle East and what's happening in many parts of the world where people are killing each other, that has always been there. Always. Our people knew about that. It was a great struggle. So to me, the Otsoosaht War was a failure of our culture. It was a failure to give, to share. That's the way I see it. I don't see it as a great victory. I see it as we failed. Our ancestors failed. That's the way. That's my interpretation, because our culture had a great focus on sharing, on giving, on preparing the young children to grow up in a strong, good way, to have strong families.
But how did they survive with one river? Like, I don't know how many thousands of people in one tribe, one river. They couldn't survive. They weren't surviving, so they had to do something. And this was Otsoosaht. He has lots of rivers. And that's it, Inlet and all the different big rivers all along. Meegan, all big rivers that produce a lot of fish. So they were going to attack the Oakwood. I don't know what the heck they want to go to one river. Kennedy Lake.
They thought they could solve their problem. Ahousat didn't have a river. They lived in Ahos, outside beaches, right? Otsoosaht lived here. And all of the major rivers they owned, like Meegan, Herbert Arm, and the Sydney Inlet, you know. Every major river they owned, Otsoosaht. And they didn't want to give any to Ahousat.
Hayupanut asked for a daughter of Otsoosaht if we can marry, so they can get fish off of Otsoosaht. But they said no, the chief said no, you can't. And so he got mad. He beat up his wife, and his wife went to where we were picnic called White Sand Beach, Quatsuis. So
and the head chief's wife was Mukuna's mother, right? She was a mother of Mukuna, but she was living in Otsoosaht, eh? And when Hayupanut quarreled with his wife that fall, she left him, and she went back to Blunden Island, eh? And springtime came, Hayupanut sent 6 warriors over to get his wife, eh? And the father said, no, he's not going back to you. So he got mad, said he's going to have a war with Otsoosaht, eh? That's what this book says.
after Otsoosaht were getting a sea order, or land order, walking a kind of, they're splashing all over. So they start to go home, and that Ice Chinook climbed the tree. He was a brother of the head chief at that time, Ice Chinook. But he climbed the tree. He was with his uncle was down below. He shot them. Otsoosaht, he killed 3 of them on the beach. And the warrior of Otsoosaht was named Keitlah. Keitlah went running. He seen that muskets used to smoke when they shoot. He was coming down that tree, shot him, knocked his head off because his uncle shoved that guy. Second shot killed him. So they tracked his body down to the beach at White Sand Beach. And they yelled at Ahousat that they left their chief behind. They had a pole through his body, through his mouth, and stood him up.
But I read in here regarding Mukuna. He didn't want to go to war, eh, Mukuna? Like I said, his mother was from there.
In my family, we didn't take part in it because of the fact of family relationships that were here in Ahousat, where we were really close to the family that was the head of this village. So we stayed out of that war, and when the war was finished, the war was from the understanding I got from the war, it turned to our favor because of Chief McQuina from Moatjit sent 200 guns here to our family, to Hayupanut. And that's what won the war. And
the chief at that time was called McQuina at 1811. That name's been with us for that long. It was the relations was with Moatjit. That's where the name comes from. But they were a lady.
McQuina, the one she's talking about, is the original great chief of the New Channel. And then we have a McQuina here in Ahousat too. Mm-hmm. The reason why we have McQuina here is because there is a chief called Uquakum. He was the son of the chief. He went to Yuquat to Suchha. McQuina's daughter over there, her name was Ahousaht. So Ahousaht came to Ahousat. She became a Hakum over here with Uquakum. That was her Chakup. That's her ancestors. Ahousaht got a son. She named him McQuina. He was the grandson of the Grand Chief from Moatjit. That's why we have McQuina here too in Ahousat. Then McQuina over here had 6 sons, composed of what Ahousat is made out of. That's where we originally come from. We have Moatjit blood in us.
The chief said, "No, we got no gun, we can't fight." So they went home, and high up in North round up all the warriors. All these Ahousat members said, "Do you know what they're doing to us? They killed our chief, and they were killing us all. They killed 7 Ahousat that was picking poles for herring poles. They used to dry their herring outside in the sun. And at Chatwina, west side of Fergus, and the head chief speaker stood up. We can't have war. We'd be starving. They'd be killing us all." And Khamina was covered up with his blanket over his head, listening to them. And Hayupanut stood up, his speaker. He said, "I'm going to have war, whether you like it or not. I'm going to kill Otsoosaht at the time if I have to. Like a wolf," he said. So, and at the time Khamina stood up. Khamina said, "I'll be with you today. I'll do what I can to kill Otsoosaht." And one from Keitlah was a warrior called Kahassim. Kahassim from Keitlah. It's Tommy Marshall's family is from there, from that. So he said, "I'll be with you, my grandson." So they walked up that, and there was a lady from Nuchala. She knows a lot of bad medicine to kill people.
She took on him. His mother was from the Charlotte. And she was the main medicine lady, you call, because Hayupanut selected 40 men to go up that mountain. And that lady was up there, Hayupanut's mother. She's the one that gave them medicine, to make them who they were. Some said 8 months, some say 4 months. I don't know how long they were there, but must have been a while before they were ready for war. They made those clubs.
They had to be well prepared,
Yeah.
Which mountain was it?
Catface. Mm-hmm.
They had a platform up there,
I guess they did, Something like that. Yeah, they put up something where they could, where they were, what they were doing, whatever they were doing to get ready for war, But a lot of Usamch, a lot of that. and toughen your skin up, you know, all the medicine they had.
They made them walk up that mountain, Catface Mountain, and said that, and they were singing up there that they're going to wipe out this big nation. Wiki Tata winner, you are so much ways That's what you sing on that catfish. That is Kuno episode with Hamina. And Hamina was singing up there too. Yeah.
Preparing for the war?
Yeah, the war when it was going to start the war, yeah. 13 years is a long time.
13 years of mourning is a lot of time, no? His daughter, a baby was born the day the war started. She was 13, and they said when she became a woman. It's about 13. That's when it ended.
So it couldn't have been 1811, it would have been 200 years old, eh? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Tikus used to talk about the war. I hate to contradict, but it doesn't really tell you the date. They didn't know dates, right? There's no such thing. It's just a matter of, not a wild guess, but I guess they're close to what they want, how they do it, you know? How old the bones are, whatever, stuff like that.
When we talk about history, we can't change the history. And a lot of our elders back in my time were saying, be careful when you say Hisookt, and that's part of the war. And I remember sitting around the table talking about this and its history. And when you say Hisookt, this where we sit right now is Hisookt, Ahousaht, lands that were conquered, lots of blood here spilled.
Little stories I heard about amalgamation then, and is that after the Otsoosaht War, the Hisookt here, the territory of Otsoosaht is actually what is referred to by Hisookt. Hisookt. To me, an unfortunate incident, in my interpretation, as I said, a failure of our culture, but it happened.
Ahousaht used to raid them in the nighttime, in a storm. Anyhow, Ahousaht was smarter, crueler, meaner, and there was 13,000 of them. There were 7,000 of Ahousaht, and Ahousaht would raid in the nighttime and capture when they're fishing, or so they just dwindled till they surrendered and said, no, we don't want it here anymore. We don't want to fight anymore.
Kutinks. West side of this side of that island, before you go offshore, the last island going to Ravel Point. Over here, this side, Kutinks. The next beach, not this one there, over.
Kutinks.
That's where you're cutting heads.
Kutinks. You chop the head off.
Chop your head off.
Kutinks. Yeah.
That's why it was called Kutinks. The Ahousats came here and attacked Otsoosaht, right? Like they lived on the outside here. Ahousats lived there. Cut all the heads off, eh? The kids, women, men were out when they chopped all the heads off. So no matter how you look at it, the war was dirty. It wasn't any good.
Nothing good about a war.
No, nothing. But imagine what it would have been like if there was 10,000 of them. It would have been 40,000 here now.
We almost lost the Ahousat completely. There was only 60 of us left at one point.
That proves how much blood we went through to own this island here. To own this island. They start to scatter out these people. Otsoosaht, some on the way up north, somewhere Tla'ukwet included.
Then during the war, then Tla'ukwet
joined them. That's when Otsoosaht were chased out of here. They started to travel, migrate down south. They stopped in Tokwat. They stayed there for a while to replenish their supplies so they could continue. Then they stopped off at Penella, across from Nia Bay. There was a lot of fish there, so they stayed there for a year or so and replenished their supply and fixed their canoes, made new canoes, and when they were ready, they journeyed across to Nia Bay. That's where they landed. That's where they felt safe because there was warriors chasing them. So we have a lot of bloodline relatives down there because my mother was part Otsoosaht too.
This place got empty. No more Otsoosaht here. They all went south. Some of them showed up at the American side. Some of them, we heard songs over there. Belonged to Otsoosaht. And John Keitlah was over nearby. They invited to say, I don't know whether Mark really wanted me to come. I said, I'm broke, I can't go. I will help you, come on. So I went. And we started singing a song. They didn't know it was Otsoosaht song. John Keitlah was singing away. And a young guy come around to me, don't sing my song, it's my song. But that young guy must have been from here, Otsoosaht. He was singing that song. We're singing it, I was in there.
And even today, you hear stories of when my son Roman went to the States, he was on a workshop or something, and he met a Koasa Indian. Hi, I'm from Ahousat. He looks at Roman and said, I hate the Ahousat. And Roman looked, why? My roots are Otsoosaht, he said. Although it's history, it's from, but he still didn't know. So Rome didn't understand. Well, he does now, but he didn't know why.
That's how we're titling this land here today. It caused a lot of blood. Lots of families not here today. Kind of that war. We finally start to go back. In 1951, the chiefs thought of the only way we can survive is now if we get amalgamated to Kilsmith, Hotswet, and I don't know how come Mount Ahousat come along because they were citing Otsoosaht in that war. They were with them. So at the time we'd start to move around, we come to this place here. But first they were kind of scared to come here. They might get hounded because there's a lot of people killed here. And there was some burial place up there where a store was there. There was big cedar trees. They found some skeletons there. Just have been not those skeletons. When the war was ending, Otsoosaht, Jack Till's property, it was a lake, yeah. And they used to have a little sucker called Chakwan. It used to go, but it was a small little river. But when they were losing, they put skeletons in there. Never come back, those little fish. So people know how to use black magic to different nations. And this is how we're living here.
Why did they want this piece of land?
Because it had the most, there was a real big Sakai River here at Oknak, the lake. And when ministers and the stuff that ran the day school there, they knew that it was what everybody was fighting about. So they ruined the lake. They killed all the fish in there. Now we don't have any here. But it was the biggest sockeye fishery. Mm-hmm. And there's Atlios and Moyahi. There's a place on an island, on Flores Island out there called Tutunako. Is it? No. It's a long name. It's where the fish jump 12 feet to get up. Yeah, outside there, yeah. It's got a long name. But that's what they were all fighting about, was the fish, because that was our livelihood, so we could survive. I was saying, I'm telling the kids, our mother used to have to do 365 fish for each of her kids, one whole year, eh? I only did 5 this winter, so I was telling my kids, you guys get 1 each. No more 365. They were big fish, so.
Done everything what his father told him in his young days. So he's what you had for morning. Wiener, and had Ahousat on his come at house.
Oh.
Yeah, shit. We got Ahousat, his older brothers now, they were lazy. When Ahousat got sick and ill, he got ill. He called his son one by one. That'll be on here. One by one they were called. The first one, they just wanted to get these Ahousat titles owners of his. There used to be one chief at that time. It wasn't 2 yet. So at that time, he didn't answer. He was laying in his bed. And the second one, he wanted to buy his Ahousat, but he didn't answer. Third one had 3 daughters. He said, no, you can't, you have daughters. I guess they weren't allowed Otsoosaht to be a chief at that time. So, and Taoism come ashore with 40 men, and he had 2 canoes of men. He walked in, he went right beside his father, and he said, I will announce your death. I'll invite 10 nations, and I will have 2 wells beside your burial called commodities, 2 beside your burial. Then I'll give 40 Apollonis, I guess there were money, Apollonis, and they. So Ahousat stood up. He said, now I know that you're the youngest, but your offer is so great to me that I'm going to go now. You will have all my territories, but don't leave out your elder brother. Keep them to be the first ones in Pathak. Because there has to be a certain time for each chief to be Pathak. So this went rules of the chieftain from Ahousat. It's called Ahousat is that head chief. That's why they're called Ahousat. They're called Ahousat. And us on this end, called Otsoosaht Ahousaht, in place of Taoism, second chief. Kutinks at Howard, that's the third chief. It just started from when Taoism got that chieftainship from his father. And Taoism got a son named Otsoosaht. Otsoosaht, that's the third chief. And Otsoosaht got a son named Wikinanish. Wikinanish, that's the time of when that son got Kingfisher in its bay here. That's the time of it. 1864 is when it must have happened. Yeah.
Europeans were here and they come to attack Ahousat. Well, they sunk the Kingfisher, right at that green spar buoy. He was anchored there. You just don't go out there and sink a ship, do you? But these sailors come ashore, oh, lots of pretty girls here. Looked around, and after dark they come back. And they abused these young ladies. It so happened, one of them was the chief's daughter. Chief said, go get her to that boat. So he sent out his warriors. They went aboard at night, took the guns. They actually had one of the big cannons. And they took that off. And they blew it up. So many years after, they even took their coats, sailor hat and everything. They were invited to a party in Songhe, someplace down south. So they went. They took these coats along with the sailor hat. They had fun dancing. They coming in like this, wearing them hats and all. And there must have been one white guy standing at the doorway. Who are those Indians? Oh, their houses? Aha. They now know where the Kingfisher disappeared. That's how they turned it. I all thought it was the Boston. It wasn't the Boston, I'm told. Come to shoot at the houses. And they start firing at them, cannonballs. There were some embedded in them. Where the old school, they felt some big cedar trees there. It was embedded in there, cannonball. We used to have them, we used to play with them, throw them around. We didn't realize it could explode. Anyway, they fired back. They figured out how to make his cannon work. Put one in there and they fired it back. Knocked up part of his mast, the main mast fell over. And I guess they got scared. They just turned around and left. So they lost that war. Next time they come in, they went up to Herbert Inlet way up. Some houses living there. That's another story that I don't know about. There's another small tribe that stayed up there. And they start shooting at them. There's some embedded up in there. Mumuk used to say, they're up in the spruce trees, embedded in a tree. I guess when they're growing, it goes up with that. It's way up there now. He used to want to show somebody. I said, I should take a Mumuk up there now. Just show it and get them down. Because after, I don't know how many years after, they sent a battleship out here. They went through a rocky path and through in. They were anchored out there. They come ashore. They picked up some cannonballs. Oh, we'll give it back to you. We never ever seen it again. It's in the American side now. I think that's where it'd be in the archives down that way. That's where it's at. But that would have been history, a lot of evidence there. So like, you can go into war with us. Here's the proof. And you lost.
So when the war was over, Kanema and Kasem conquered the head chief of Otsoosaht, put a spear in him and come out on one end and the other. And they told Wakuna to come down to kill the last chief and I'll give you my land, I'll give you what I fought for. I'm not a chief. He said, I don't want the land. I don't need the land, but he didn't go down. And when the war was over, who was it? But anyway, it's actually when it was all over, when they conquered the last chief up at Sydney Inlet. And they stood Bukuna up and told him, you can have this land, because Maatmaas were conquered with Otsoosaht, they lost their land, right? But I don't know if it ever was given back to the Swan. I don't know. I know they got their songs. They got their songs back, all the songs. But land from Heshkut Point, this way up to Sydney Inlet, up to Hisnik, it could be under Mukuna, but it's under Maatmaas. It's always been under Maatmaas.
People that we have, the man Ahousats, and me being part of that war, it was also one of the conquered parts of the war. And my dad, when he was here, stood up, the two people here in the Ahousat, and you know the war is over. It's done. The bad feelings should be set aside. So basically, giving them their rights back, because when the war happened, everything was stripped from the people that lost the war, their dances, their chieftainships, their titles.
And they formed the council, and they had it mixed with the other tribes too. They welcomed them in.
The amalgamation happened in my dad's time, and you know it was there was things that were said to the people that came in that the three principals would acknowledge the chieftainships in each of the villages that they come from. Kiltsmott, the chief from Kiltsmott, you know, in recognition that they would be recognized as Kiltsmott, what they hold. Courtenay, Ronnie George, who lives in Tootmoose, I love his name. He lives in Ukuit. They came to be part of us, and they were also part of that war. So that it already, you know, that amalgamation happened really back when that war happened, because all the people that fought in that war are now Ahousat. So it was, you know, we were all family back in the time. But
I guess what they liked about Ahousat was they were always helping them. Yeah. And in the winter time, they used to spend their time over here, and I think that's how they decided they were going to join Ahousat.
And so now we need to do a little bit of healing still, because I know in sitting around the table it's uncomfortable when you're, you know, I happen to be the one is on the winning side, but then if you're happening to be on the losing part of it, it's not a good feeling, you know? So we need to be careful in what it is, but we can't change history. That's how history is. We can't change it.
About healing, something we need to do as a nation to heal our land here, so everyone can live a better life. Not only for us, but for our grandchildren and our grandchildren's grandchildren. About living a good life, not only for an individual self, but for everybody, including all the 5 tribes that amalgamated: Maatmaas, Ahousat, Keitlah, Beneath, Owen, that we all come together and give thanks to what we have here in our beautiful nation. All our territories, all around.